What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Cjthecheesedj here, and guys, the first update for Jurassic World Evolution 2 is finally here alongside the DLC. Check out that video that I just released as well if you guys haven't seen that one already. But in this video, guys, we'll be going over all of the new things they added for Jurassic World Evolution 2 in this new update. So, first off, they've added a bunch of new buildings that were available to us in the campaign. We can now use all of those in sandbox mode, which is currently where we are. As well as that, all 5 campaign maps where the campaign takes place are now usable in sandbox mode as well, which, as you can see, we have the airport in the distance here on Pennsylvania. So these are all available to you now for sandbox mode. You can also start off with a completely wiped map. As you can see here, we did not choose that option, but instead of having to manually get rid of all the foliage and stuff like that yourself, you can automatically start these new sandbox maps completely clear and completely flat. So that's one of the new things as well that was updated. But let's go over some of the new buildings. So here we have 3 hatcheries. This was the Jurassic World one that we had. And then we had, I believe it was this one as well, available in sandbox mode. So we now have all 3 of these. Now, if you want to actually filter any of these as well, all you need to do is come into wherever it is that you're wanting to build, and you can simply click on the filter above. So you can see here, this one here is the one that we get in the campaign mode. So the Department of Fish and Wildlife, I believe it stands for, DFW. So we have access to that incubating building as well as the Jurassic Park one, which is this one here. And then we also have access to the Jurassic World one, which we already had to begin with. So essentially that's what they've gone and done. They've added the Department of Fishing and Wildlife buildings to sandbox mode, as well as extra Jurassic Park buildings. But nonetheless, we'll still go over them. So over here, we have the Department of Fishing and Wildlife. All these buildings here are the Department of Fishing and Wildlife. So we have the Paleo medical facility, we have the response facility, we have the staff center, we have the expedition center, the science center, and the control center. As well as that, we also have this arrival point. So this is the DFW arrival point as well. Now, you can only build certain, like, one types of certain buildings, so do keep that in mind. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to just go ahead and demolish these, because it's not going to allow us to place any of the other buildings that we needed to of this one. Some of them can get placed, but not all of them. So next up, we have I believe this is the Jurassic Park buildings. So the staff center here, which, I mean, it looks really nice. It's kind of like reminiscent. We then have the ranger team and the response facility with the Jurassic Park. I'm not going to say Jeeps because they're not Jeeps and there's no logo for them. And then we have the Paleo medical facility. So as well as that, you can also get the science center here and everything else as well. The only reason we weren't able to build them is due to the fact that we didn't have access to them because of the other thing. We also have the expedition center as well. So a bunch of the different arrival points as well. We already had access to this one, I believe, in the sandbox mode. The visitor center and the control center as well. You can see those there. Unfortunately, I can't build them because if I do, it'll mess the whole park up. So we've got those ones as well now available to us. And then these are the original ones that we already have access to that you would have already built in your sandbox mode if you've gone ahead and built them. Now, as well as that, we also have the DFW small hotel and large hotel, which I think are kind of entertaining, to be honest. The large hotel does not look very accommodating to the guests. Looks more like a boot camp than anything else. So I think I find this one kind of entertaining. And like, we've got porta potties over here, which is great. We also have the Dfw Restrooms, which once again, kind of very similar to its hotels. So I do find that a little bit entertaining. But let's move on to the enclosure side of things. So next up, we already know about the Jurassic World Lagoon and Aviaries, but we now have access to the Jurassic Park Aviaries and Lagoons. So this one here is the Jurassic Park one. You can see there it's kind of just like straight up metal. I do prefer the Jurassic World ones because it's glass and it looks a little nicer. But if you did want to go ahead and actually build this one, you can now, and that's it there. We then also have the Lagoon, which I believe is this one over here, but we're going to chuck another one down just to make sure of things. And we'll get that built up. So we also have the Aviary Hatchery, which you can see just over here, which is this one right here in the middle. So you can see there, it's kind of standard. They all kind of look the same, but nonetheless, it is what it is. And we also have, oh, they're in the next section. We also have the Lagoon Hatchery, which is this big boy right here. So it's this one right here in the center here. So very reminiscent of like the old Jurassic Park. You can see there we've even got freaking torches on the side there, which I think is sick. So this is probably my new favorite Lagoon Hatchery now. So we've got that one there as well, which looks really great. As for the Lagoon, I did build one. It's just this one here. So it is this one over here. So they're kind of similar to the standard Lagoons. There's not really too much difference. You do have just like this kind of overhang, which is the main difference between this one and the Jurassic World one. You can also lower the terrain here as well to get access to the concrete wall if you want to. But all the concrete walls, as far as I've been able to tell, look exactly the same. You can see here we've tested it out earlier. So next up, we also have the Department of Fishing and Wildlife. And we have their aviary dome, which is this one over here. I'm still more so a fan of the Jurassic World one. It does look a little bit more natural. This one has more chain links meshed in throughout it. So just to make sure nothing can escape, I suppose. So that is the aviary just there. Next up, we have the Lagoon, which is this one over here. You can see there it's even got the little DFW logo on it. So very similar to this one. It just doesn't overhang as much, the guard does. We then have the Lagoon Hatchery, which is this one over here. And this one, I mean, it's okay. It's just this one here on the left-hand side. So, I mean, it's okay. I think the Jurassic Park one is a lot better, though. We also have the Aviary Hatchery. So we'll come over here and show you guys that one. And that is this one just here. So, very, very similar. They're all very similar, but the Jurassic Park ones do have their very niche little things, like the flaming torches on the Lagoon Hatchery. So, yeah, they're all the new aviaries, new hatcheries, and the new lagoons. Next up, though, we have extra viewing platforms and viewing galleries. So, we've got the Department of Fishing and Wildlife, and this is their new one over here. So, just this one here. I still think, obviously, the Jurassic World one and the Jurassic Park one are a little bit nicer. These ones are very rustic, I guess the word is. I guess the word would be rustic for it. So, yeah, you got to go. You've got those. We also have the viewing galleries, which are just lined up over here. And this one is just this one here. So, yeah, it's very, very rustic. It's not really catered towards guests. It's much more catered towards, like, obviously research scientists and stuff like that, because, you know, you've got this one that's all nice and pretty, and even this one's nice and pretty, and then like the inside is all like timbered floors, and then this one you've got like scaffolding. So yeah, it's a pretty big difference between them. You also have a lagoon viewing stand and a aviary viewing gallery. So we'll bring up the avian viewing galleries, which are just over here, and once again you can probably tell which one is which. Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, and then the DFW, sorry. So, yeah, it's a viewing gallery. Obviously, the other ones are a little bit nicer. But if you want to cater a park towards the research scientists and stuff like that, you can easily do so. And then once again, this one here is your DFW Lagoon viewing stand. So next up, we have the Jurassic Park ones. We'll go over the Lagoon viewing stand real quick. And the Lagoon is this one here. It's nice, nicer than the DFW. So that's the Lagoon one. If we come over here in at the middle here, we have the viewing platform. So I mean, I don't mind that one. It's still pretty good if you want to build like an oldish sort of park. Next up, we have the viewing gallery, which is just this one here. You can tell from like the thatch roofs. And then over here, we have the aviary viewing gallery, which once again has the flaming torches. So it's really nice. I do like these ones better than the DFW ones, but it is what it is. So they're the new enclosures and new attractions. We did get some new guest buildings. Like I mentioned, we've got emergency shelters, anemone buildings. We also have the hotels, which I covered, the restroom as well. We then also have the Jurassic Park ones, which I can't remember if they were actually in the sandbox mode already before this update, but there they are there. I'll just quickly show you in the thingy so we don't have to build them and everything. Now, we also got the power stations as well. So they're all very similar to like their theme, I guess, of like what they are and everything. So you've got the DFW one, you've got the Jurassic Park one, which honestly isn't too bad. But another thing to note is that these all do have different build sizes. So depending on what you want to build and how much space you want to give it, you will have different building spaces. You can see here, this one's got a bit of an indent here, so you can build into it. So this one here is the DFW one, and this one here is the Jurassic Park one. We'll let them build and bring them back in a sec. But they are pretty much all of the new buildings that are now available in sandbox mode for you to use on your own customizable parks. Like I mentioned as well, 5 new campaign maps are here. Another cool feature that they have added is the fact that you can actually modify genomes now and randomize the skin and color pattern. As well as that, they've given you more of a, I guess, hindsight of what like the color actually is on the dino. And then it would, based on what you select, it will then give you a bit of a preview up above. But you can actually randomize this now, so you can randomize batch dinos. So for example, any dinos that would incubate with multiple eggs, like synthesize with multiple eggs. So for example, the Triceratops, you would get 6. You can actually randomize each and every one of those Triceratops' skin. So you'd get a different menagerie of them, I would say, which is nicer because before you could only release like 6 in that skin color, or you'd have to go in, release 1, do another skin color, release 1. I think doing it like that is a lot cooler, and it's all randomized now, which is a lot better. So you've got that. As well as that, pterosaurs now land on rocks. So before, the only thing they could land on were decorations and the viewing galleries. Now they can actually land on rocks, which is awesome. So you can see here, they're just lounging around, chilling on some rocks, which I think makes them look a little bit more natural. Some of them haven't quite figured out how to land gracefully on the rocks, but, you know, it'll come with time. Now, one more thing that I want to cover in this new update is the fact that you can now randomize the layout of your anemones. So if you come into the customization, you can actually randomize everything and change everything at once, which is really good because if you're building your own park and you kind of don't want to go for the same thing for each building, you can easily just randomize it all. As well as that, you can also randomize the paint scheme. So you can see there, you can choose a different amount of paint schemes every single time. So that's just something that I wanted to cover as well. And you can revert them back to their default and all that sort of stuff. So I think this is a nice welcome addition for those that aren't really too fussed on the anemones, but still want them to look good. So yeah. Now, as for everything else, there are a bunch of other small bug fixes and stuff like that. I will leave a link to the patch notes in the description if you do want to go over them. I can go over them, but it is quite a list, and you guys would probably get sick of listening to my voice. But this is the main bulk of the update. The new aviaries, the new lagoons, and the new buildings being added to the sandbox mode. So that's going to wrap up today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe down below for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.